Welcome back to Tech Tip Tuesday for the Cleveland, Ohio Stake. Today we are going to be reviewing a really cool new app from the church that we have available to us, and it'll be really helpful for your church life, especially if you are having to give a lesson or show some media from the church resources to a class or for a talk or any kind of presentation that you're doing, or even just access it yourself for your own personal edification. So today we're actually in the bottom right of my mobile device, my iPad here. We're actually going to go over the LDS Media Library App. And if you're searching for it in your app store, you want to look for this blue symbol, blue box with the play symbol inside of it. And again, it's called LDS Media Library. This is a really cool tool. Now, we know that we can access media to go along with our lessons and other things from the Gospel Library app, but this new app actually has it in a much more useful way, a greater way to organize it, as well as use it offline and be able to compile it and organize it in a way that is going to be really, really helpful for your church life. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to launch this LDS Media Library app today and kind of just review what's available for you and some quick tips about it. Now, the first thing I want to remind everyone is when we come in, we always want to go to settings and we want to log in with our LDS.org account. Again, what that does for us is it allows us to be able to save things to this app, and no matter what app device that we launch this app from, if we're logged in with our user ID, then we'll be able to access those materials, and it saves for us. So that's a really, really cool tool. So let's pretend that we've already done that. I've already logged in, and what you'll see on the home screen is that it's LDS Media Library, and some of the current media is going to show up right away, or things that you've seen. At the bottom, we can see just added. So I can see some of the current media that's just added. This could be music, this could be pictures, this could be little graphics, this could be videos, conference talks. So this is a great way to look for those particular things just for your own edification or for maybe a lesson that you're giving. Now, what we should be familiar with by now is in the upper right, I see the magnifying glass, and that is our search button. So I could search for something in that particular manner just from this screen. Or I could come down to the bottom where it says browse, and that allows me to search content areas and browse the area that we want to go to. So we're going to actually go to the browse section, and you'll see again, there's images, there's music, and there's video. And again, we also see the ability to search in that field. So if I wanted to search, for example, and I wanted to type in atonement, I could choose to search for the atonement. So that might be a lesson that I have coming up. And again, I can see that there's images. It tells me what the content type is. So I can see that there's images here. I can see that there's video. And I could choose to add that particular piece because I want to be able to access it. So I could actually just select one of these items and I could view it. So this talk by President Boyd K. Packer in 2012, and I would be able to access that media and play it and save it. Now what you'll see on my screen is some options at the top. So the heart is going to show me, and I've kind of got a slow connection, so excuse the picture right there, but the heart's going to show me that I can actually add this to my favorites. So that's just one thing I want to keep an eye on, or this is one of my favorite talks, and I could add that to my favorites. You can see here that I can make it full screen. I can do some other items with when I'm playing it. So the other option is a very common option that we see is the open in or an action button. So what I can do when I click on that is it lets me, let's say, mail this to someone or add it or open it in another app that I might have on my particular device. The really cool thing I like about this one is this cloud with the download symbol. So when I click on the cloud with the download symbol, you will see that the app allows me to organize these tools, these media items, into playlists. And I actually already have a couple playlists, including one for a young women lesson I taught a couple weeks ago on the atonement. So I can see that right there. and I could choose to just click and add it to that particular playlist. Now, if I did not have a playlist already created, I could click the plus symbol in that screen and I could create a playlist, title it, and then still add it to that playlist. So, but since I actually have one already created, I'm going to click Atonement. And what you'll see is it says added to that playlist, and you'll start to see a circle on the screen come up that's going to indicate that it is downloading and that I'm able to see the process of it downloading into that playlist. And what's happening is not only can I view it, but it's going to download it to my device, organize it in a playlist so that even when I'm offline, I'll be able to access that. So I can see here also, I've got pictures. So if I wanted to choose, let's say, this image, I could do the same thing. I could click on download and I could add that image to my Atonement playlist. It tells me that it's added, and then I will be able to go back and access that as well. So let me show you where from there it goes. So if we actually go to the bottom and I click on playlist right down there, let me go ahead and click on that. You'll see that this is the list of playlists that I've already created. And I can see here my Atonement playlist, which was already created. I have a bunch of items in it, including the 2 items that I've added. So my video and my picture have now been added to that playlist. The other items that are in there I previously added. Again, if I had not had a playlist created, inside of there is a plus symbol, and I could choose to create a playlist that's blank and title it or give it a topic, and I could dump things into it. One of the things that is cool for me to see is that I've got one that for a Sunday school lesson that I substituted for. I can create one just for my own personal needs of here's my favorite hymns and I want quick access to them, or another lesson or a talk I had to give in Sacrament on fasting and I wanted to gather resources to do that. So as we go through that, we certainly can create as many playlists as we want. Let me go into this Atonement playlist and let's talk about the concept of the playlist. So these are just media items, and we can see here, again, here's my type. It's a video, video, image, video, video, image. I can see what types I have downloaded, and I can access them. If I go to, let's say, an image, you'll be able to see the image and the sample of it to the right, and the description for it is going to show up below it for us to be able to access. Now, one of the cool things that's in here that you might notice here's a description, but there's a section that says notes. So what is the notes section? Well, let's click on it and see. It's blank. This gives you the ability to put your own notes in it before you were to show this particular item to your class and give them notes. It's maybe a little more applicable if I were to list a video up there, and you'll see again, here's this section that says notes. So before I played this video of a special witness from Elder Holland, I could actually type into my device information about what I wanted to say. So notes that I maybe wanted to say to my class before I showed that video. Now, if I showed this screen on my iPad on the TV or projector or whatever I'm presenting this on, or just showing my class my iPad, they certainly would see those notes. But I could actually read those notes, and then I could choose to just go back to the description and hit play, and then it actually will just play the video, and I could actually go full screen. You can see I can take it back to small, whatever I needed to do. So that's a really, really cool feature. If for some reason I didn't want one of these items, maybe I duplicated or I decided I didn't want to use, let's say, this second Atonement image. Maybe this is the image I didn't want to use. I can take my finger and show you with my cursor here. If you take it and you hold it from the right and you drag it to the left, it gives you the ability to just simply delete that item that you added to the playlist that you don't really want or need in there. So it's really quick and easy. I'm also able to, the really cool feature in here is trimming the video. So how many times do you have a talk and you really want you have enough time for a little excerpt out of it and you want this one quote out of it, but you've got this 2-minute and 27-second video. Well, this last item right here, trim video, is really awesome for that. So I can click on trim video and it shows me all the screens of that particular video. So I could drag my cursor up here, to where I wanted to have that start, and I can see that's at 40 seconds. And I could come down here at the bottom, and certainly I'd probably have to play it to see where I needed to be. But if I knew that 40 seconds is where I wanted to start, I could drag that start point over to there. And if I knew I needed it to end at a certain point, I could drag that end point to where I needed it to be. So when I went to play this video for my class, I didn't do anything to the original video, but it's only going to play from 41 seconds to 1:32. So I can just show the clip that I need to show, and then I'm able to go on with the pieces of my lesson. And I don't have to have any other tool for that. So that is a really, really fantastic tool to be able to use. And I highly recommend, I'm going to click back on the left arrow to go back to my playlists. I highly recommend that you come in and use this and play. You do have the ability in the bottom to go to My Library, and anything that you've downloaded is just going to, or liked, things like that, it's going to show up in your library. So I can see that here as downloads. I can also go to favorites, and the things that I've tagged as favorite will show up there. So that's where you would access those particular items. I have the ability, if I wanted to select an item, to view it again in there, or make it not a favorite, I can click on the checkbox in the upper right, and you'll see I have the ability to select items, one or more, and choose to, again, add that to a playlist. Maybe it's in my favorites and I wanted to add it to a playlist, create a new playlist, or I'm again able to select that particular item. Excuse me, I'm going to go back up to the upper right and click the checkbox, and I'm able to select that particular item. And I can also, again, have that open in function to be able to send that to someone that I want to say, hey, check out this video. It's really cool. It might help you with what's going on, or things like that in your life. So we have a lot of options here. I do want to go back to playlists here in the center for just a second. Let's say I'm finished with a particular lesson and I've taught this Sunday school lesson and I no longer need that playlist. I can free up space on my device by just simply deleting that playlist. If I don't need a history of that particular lesson, in the upper left-hand corner, I can say edit, and I could choose that edit symbol. And again, just like we did in that other item, I could actually select that playlist, and now you'll see in the upper right I have the ability to delete it. And when I delete it, it's going to basically uninstall those video items that I've downloaded into my device, and it's just going to put them back up the cloud. I can actually access them again and download them again, but this will help me free up space on my device, so I'm not keeping all of that media on my device. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that. So again, this is a really, really cool tool. I recommend that you kind of play around with it. Again, I can browse in the browse section for any of the particular topics that I want to browse for. I can go into images, music, video, and find the items and search just manually. I can look through the hymn book and I know that this is the song that I want, or I could click the checkbox here in the upper right and say, oh, I like that song and I like that song, and we're going to practice that for choir and I want to download it, or these are the songs that we're going to sing in Relief Society and we don't have someone to play piano this week, so I'm going to download those to this device so that can be our accompaniment. That's a great access for this tool. And I can come to playlists, and again, I can organize it any way that I want so that I can be able to access that media. So again, I hope that that helps you. This is a great tool for us to be able to use. This was a review of LDS Media Library App, and I highly recommend that you go and download it, access it, and see what works for you. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope that you will join us again for the next Tech Tip Tuesday to make your church life just a little bit easier.